helping international students in the job search process and truly helping them get the job that they deserve. Because when I first started off job searching, I had to learn job search the hard way. I didn't have the Canadian experience, or I didn't have the network in the country. And I felt like constantly feel like I'm not enough or cannot compete with the local candidates. So really Empower was born to help solve one problem. And that problem is international students potential being underdiscovered or being underutilized. That's not okay. We're really here to change the way international students find jobs, because it doesn't have to be this hard for us, right? Like we all are not born here. We have to compete with so many people, and I totally understand because I have been there and our team have been there. So how we're solving that problem is really through our job search program. So we have a job search 7-day job search bootcamp. We have our online community being able to connect international students and professionals, not just in BC or in Toronto, but all across the country. And that's the power of networking. I know you don't have the Canadian network or a professional network, but we are really here to give that to you. So if you are interested in joining our community, it's entirely free for you to join, and I'll let JB type in the chat right there how you can join. We give out a lot of free resources. This webinar is one of many to really just help you get started or just be successful in Canada. So with that, enough of me and Empower. I want to pass on the floor to our partner ImmiSearch, to Kevin. So Kevin can come on and introduce himself and what ImmiSearch is.
Sure, nice to meet everyone. Would you like me to take over the screen share, Pat?
Yeah, go ahead.
For sure. There it is. Awesome. So my name's Kevin. I'm the CEO of ImmiSearch. Before I get started with everything else, I just wanted to ask a quick question to the audience here. Just type it into the chat. How many of you have actually heard of someone who's been scammed while immigrating to a new country? Anyone here? Nope. Been scammed in lodging? Yes, yes, I have. Nope, nope. So looks like some of you haven't, some of you have. And one of the big problems in coming into Canada is the unfortunate reality is that there's actually more unauthorized and illegal businesses that offer Canadian immigration services than legitimate ones that are actually authorized by the government of Canada. And so what ends up happening is beyond just losing your life savings or having to start the process all over again, the government of Canada actually doesn't deal with any of these unauthorized representatives. So I've personally spoken to several people that have had their applications completely complicated and were actually banned from entering Canada for 5 years. And this is due to something called misrepresentation. And this is exactly the reason why I created ImmiSearch. And at ImmiSearch, we maximize your chances of getting your desired immigration status by connecting you to licensed immigration consultants who have experience in similar cases and also have the best fit. And what that looks like is it's a platform where you can easily search, browse, and book licensed and immigration consultants. And you can even narrow down your search based on things like what programs they specialize in, what languages they speak, their location, and more. But enough about us for now. I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to be going over in our webinar today. We're going to be going over the new pathways to PR that just opened up, and it's going to be fully open on May 6th. And specifically, we're going to be looking at the programs for essential workers and international graduates. And at the end of everything, we're going to be having a Q&A session so that you actually have a chance to speak to our guest speaker today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to ImmiSearch's partner regulated Canadian immigration consultant, Raphael.
Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Is everybody here? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So hi, sorry. Thank you all for being here today. This is a very exciting topic, and it's so good to see what immigration is doing to help all these people who deserve to stay here in Canada. And I'm gonna try to make this as casual, however, as informative as possible to the level of the possibility that we can share whatever information we have so far. There are some of the aspects of the programs that we're not sure yet, but for the eligibility, which is part of where most people have questions, and also some aspects of how the process is going to be, I believe we're going to be able to take care of that. Okay. So let's start with the graduate public policy. So basically, here we have some eligibility requirements that I wanted to discuss with you guys. And the first one is about the minimum duration of your studies. So if you have done a associate degree, bachelor degree, master degree, or PhD program, the minimum duration is 8 months, okay? Anything rather than those programs that I talked about. So if you did a diploma or a certificate, this has to be 16-month duration. It could be a combination of 2 of 8 months, 2 certificates or 2 diplomas, but it has to be 16 months long. Okay. So that's usually where a lot of people have questions like, oh, so exactly. So thank you, JB. So in terms of what programs are eligible, there's certain programs in the trades area that has there is a list of the eligible programs. So there is the link. Maybe we can share the link later for this official announcement. And on the link there is the list of the occupations for trades. Besides trades, there's no other exclusions. So the only thing we have to be careful then is what are the eligible institutions. So for institutions, I'm gonna make it very easy. If you're applying, studying, or have graduated, and your institution and your program is eligible for postgrad work permit, your institution is eligible, okay? So that's simple math. It's just if you can apply for a postgrad work permit, you already have a postgrad work permit, that is enough. It means that you cover most of all the requirements in terms of the study requirements, okay? In terms of employment requirements, this is where very interesting. Immigration has not set any specific NOC. If you don't know what a NOC is, it's the National Occupation Classification, okay? So basically, there's no specification. You can work in any paid job, and that would be an eligible job, okay? Doesn't really matter if it's full-time or part-time either, okay? As long as you have graduated, if you graduate, you are working and it's a paid job, it's valid. So that's why full-time, part-time doesn't really matter, and the salary is very important. Now, there is one more aspect that it has to be discussed, which is your status in Canada. So basically, you can be eligible for these public policy if you are allowed to work. So it's not just have a job offer, you have to be allowed to work for that company, okay? Which means you can either have a work permit, it could be the postgrad work permit, for example. You can have a study permit yet, and if you have applied for a postgrad work permit before your study permit expired and you are still waiting for it, you are also eligible. Yes, seasonal jobs are eligible as well. So there is no specification of duration of the job. So the specification is you have to be working, okay? And the only thing is that you have to have graduated. So if you just have a work permit and you are working, that's not the program for you, okay? So it has to be all those boxes that we're talking about: study requirements, employment requirements, status requirement, and the last one is English requirement. Oh, by the way, no, contract jobs are out. So if you're not in payroll, if you're not an employee of the company, that doesn't count, okay? It has to be employee. You have to be in the payroll of the company, paying all the taxes, CPP and everything. So for the last requirement is English, and it's level CLB 5. And the tests that are accepted are CELPIP and IELTS, and that's it. No other tests. There are some questions just before you move on, Kevin. Some questions about people that are finishing their education around right now. Yes, that is also eligible because you will have graduated in May 6th. So on that day, if you finished your school and you are working, and you even if you apply for a postgrad work permit, you can be eligible for this program. Okay, now let's take a look at the next program. So this program is for essential workers, and it's mainly focused on certain types of jobs. And on the list, you will be able to see the majority of the jobs besides the health, which is a stream A part of the program. Besides that, most of the jobs in the stream B are level C and D jobs. And those are actually the jobs that we are thankful for them to be working, because that is what makes our life possible still in times like this. Basically, what we're going to be talking about is the employment requirements for the essential workers, okay? And this is the most tricky one, the minimum hours. A lot of people get confused with the number of hours that is discussed. So it's 1,560 hours. And you have to have all of that number of hours in a period of 52 weeks. So it doesn't really matter if you completed 1,560 hours in 6 months. It's not eligible. You have to be working all full-time equivalent for the 52 weeks, which is 1,560 hours, okay? So I'm sorry, I messed up a little bit. So I talked about eligible occupations before I talked the minimum hours. So we already covered these two bullet points. So for the next one, which is I was going to say right now, is full-time versus part-time. It doesn't really matter as long as you cover equivalent of full-time for a period of 1 year. Meaning, if you worked part-time through your 2 years, for example, for the last 2 years, you are eligible as well, because it's equivalent to a 1 year of full-time job. Again, salary. There's no expectations of minimum wage or anything like this, but it has to be a paid job. And again, cannot be contractor. Okay. The same thing here for status in Canada. That's a very interesting one, because it's not only for people who already have a work permit only. It says that people who are authorized to work in Canada. And if you think about it, if you're an international student, you are authorized to work in Canada. So you therefore are eligible to apply as well. And that's why the part-time is important, because a lot of international students can only work part-time. So if you are here in Canada as an international student for more than 2 years, let's say 2 years or more, and you have been working part-time throughout this period in an essential occupation, you are eligible for this position, for this program as well. Okay. Now, the English language requirement for this program is CLB level 4. So it's a little lower and it's a lot easier to get. And also for the test is CELPIP and IELTS. I can see that there is a lot of questions, but we are going to have a Q&A session shortly. And now we're going to be covering most of the questions that you guys have been asking. Now, I just wanted to cover a few things more. Documentation. The checklist for the public policy programs haven't been released yet. Now, what we know is that applying for any other permanent residency programs, there are some documents that you have to submit anyways. Passport, background check, medical, let's say, what else? There are some forms that you have to send for sure, forms that talk about your travel history and your address history and your activities history. So all of those, they're common to all permanent resident applications. So you should expect that you would have to cover all of them as well. The medical exam is a question mark. My personal opinion is that it's not going to be a requirement to submit the application yet. Maybe they will change this, but so far, because there's no invitation to apply or anything like this, we're not sure if all applicants are eligible. So that's why I think that they're not going to be requiring the medical exam upfront. So they will require from you at some point of the process, but most likely not upfront. So meaning you don't have to have the medical done before you submit your application. Okay. The fees. Fees is a good one. They released today information that the fees for those applications are going to be slightly lower than express entry, for example. So for adults, they're going to be charging $1,050, and for dependent minors, it's going to be $150, I think. Let me check just to confirm that information, but I think it's going to be 150. Just give me a second. $150, correct. Yeah. So this is good news because we were looking at the price for how much that would cost for a family, for example, to submit an application. And it's relatively cheaper. It's like $300 cheaper for the main applicant around. And it's around $75 cheaper for minor dependents. So this is pretty good. I think the next thing that I wanted to share with you, it's just how we're handling this. Basically, as a consultant, we usually handle process by representing clients. But because this is going to be a quota for each one of those programs we talked about, there is a quota for it. What we're going to be doing as a consultant, we're not, I can't speak for the others, but what I'm doing is we're reviewing documentation, making sure that you have everything ready. And we're doing it in 2 sessions. We do the first session to check eligibility, check if all the checklists, all the documents and everything. review the documentation, and then in the end, we make sure that you have everything ready and up in the portal so we can submit your application. And that includes even the fee payment and everything. So, and in our services, we are offering the first call, the screening call, to make sure that we're checking eligibility for free. Okay, so this is something that Kevin will be touching a little bit in the next part, as a compliment for all the people that are attending the webinar today. And I think I covered everything.
Excellent. I actually list out a few questions that you didn't answer, so I'm going to quickly ask them to you. So this program should be a private institution or a public, or does it matter?
So there are private institutions that are conferring degree programs. So if you're studied in a private university, it's a bachelor program or associate program or a master, it is also eligible. Mm-hmm. Just remember, if you can apply for a postgrad work permit, most likely you are eligible for this program. You only have to remember about the duration.
Okay, makes sense. Does a T4A count?
A T4?
A T4 slip.
Oh, in terms of proof of employment?
Proof of employment.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Okay. Would you advise applying for both post-graduation work permit and PR at the same time? I'm a student graduating in May.
Yes.
Yes.
There's nothing that prevents from having both applications submitted at the same time.
Okay, amazing. This is a good one. Do you need to have an English requirement by May 6th because all the IELTS centers are booked?
That's a tricky one. I guess if you can, this is a guess, okay? This is really, it's not an official information, but they are going to accept to check with the organization that is the provider, test provider. It's not clear to us yet, but I think what they mean by that is that if you at least have a booked, like a number or something that you booked, you can provide, maybe they will be checking with the institution later. So this is a guess, but potentially if you manage to book the test, potentially we can submit the application without the results. Yeah, it's a tricky one, but they do have access to all the test centers and they require all the information about it. So if you have the information, your number, but you don't have the results yet, potentially they will accept. We're gonna have to explain it on the letter and demonstrate that we paid and the person will take the test. Of course, if you don't take the test, you're gonna be refused.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Can someone apply for in 2 streams?
Yes and no. If you qualify for one stream, I would recommend you to go for that one because I think it's going to be quite a race, to be honest. A lot of people applying at the same time. So most likely I should just recommend you to focus in one. Just do it the one that you think you're stronger and go for it.
Right. So does the work experience count on the time being on study permit? Like say example, co-op.
Yes, it does. Yeah. And that's the best part. And thanks for mentioning the co-op. Co-op, usually you can do 40 hours a week, not only 20. And so for that period of time of co-op, you can count as a full time. So it's good. It helps as well.
Yeah. But you have to graduate from the institution first before you apply.
No, because in this one specifically speaking, it's got to be for the essential workers. Right. I guess that the person is asking for the essential workers because there's no minimum number of hours for the graduate program.
Sounds good. Would this apply to those graduating in December? Can they apply without graduation requirement being conditional on final grad certificate submission?
No, don't even try.
Okay. All right. And those are all the questions I list out, and I know I have a bunch more. So let me take some time. I don't know if JB or Kevin, you keep track of them. But let me quickly go up.
I think I saw Simba who raised his hand. Simba, if you want to ask your question, you can do that till then.
Oh, I can raise my hand. I can speak now. Sorry.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Cool. So I know it was talked briefly about the language test, about in the application we can let them know in our letter that, hey, we've actually booked an appointment for a language test on this day, etc. I was just curious if that was a guess or that's actually confirmed that we can actually do that.
That was a guess.
Do you know by any chance if they're gonna notify like the public if that could be possible? Or
We sure hope
not?
so. I hope so.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all my questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question. You briefly mentioned about contract jobs. If there is CPP and EI being deducted, will one be eligible?
Usually contracts are not deducted, CPP and EI. So if that's the case, take a look at it's probably employee.
It has to be how to be employed.
Yeah. Usually companies don't pay for EI and CPP in their in the paycheck if you're a contractor. You have to pay that to the government, but you're still a contractor. So that doesn't change the fact that you're a contractor. Even though you're paying on your own, you're still a contractor. So you have to look into how you register in the business.
Makes sense. This one is, what about if we done most of our courses online due to COVID? Does that still count?
Still counts. Immigration so far is allowing people to apply for postgrad work permit for certain programs that are being run completely online, and that also applies for this program. So if they can apply for postgrad work permit, they're eligible for this program.
Perfect.
Right, we can probably have Mercy and Olga to ask their questions. Mercy, do you want to go ahead?
Hi, thank you. My first question is it's like I just graduated, like I just passed out my exam last week, but I'm still waiting for my letter of completion, which will come on May 21st. So, and can I use unofficial transcript, or how do I provide a proof that I completed?
Yeah, most likely you will be able to show that you, with your unofficial transcript, that you graduate, you finish your classes by then. And as soon as you receive the letter, you can submit. My only concern is that, as I mentioned, it's going to be a very competitive program. So the longer you take to submit all the complete requirements, the less chances you will have to be accepted into the quota. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, so do you suggest me to go in international thing, or then should I do for the essential worker criteria?
I would have to get to know you to know how to answer that question. I can't really answer specific questions.
Yeah, just one last thing. How about the documents for family? Like if I want to bring my parents, I want to mention them there. So what are the documents?
No, parents are not included in permanent applications. Family members are constituted as spouse and your dependent, meaning your kids or your spouse's kids.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, hello?
Yes.
We are limiting one question per person for now, to allow for everybody, but please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So my question is that so I'm right now in postgraduate work permit in mid of my work permit, and I'm self-employed. But the thing is, like, I worked for the 2 years of my masters, so like for part time while I'm doing my masters here. So that comes around 1560 plus hours if I combine my whole work experience in masters that I worked as a sales associate. So that is, in which category should I apply, for the essential or the regular one?
My answer to you is, if you doesn't really matter if you apply if you're as a student you are working as a contractor, or if now you're working as a contractor is not eligible.
No, as a student I'm an employee. I'm a part-time employee.
Oh, I see. So
So it's-
potentially you may qualify for essential workers, and then we have to check a lot of other things under the requirements as the knock and everything, but potentially
I
yes.
worked as a cashier in a retail store. So
Yeah, again, I'm not going to be answering specific questions for specific cases. I'm just
Okay.
going to be answering questions that are general for all people in this call.
Okay.
Yeah, and just chiming in here, guys, folks, everybody, if you have any specific questions for Rafael, I mean, you have the link here. You could probably, make an appointment with him. But we want to make sure that we are able to kind of capture any other information. So I know what I'm going to do is I have these hands raised here. So probably I'll take 4 questions right now, and then Pat, you can take some questions from the chat here.
I'll go with yours.
Okay. Yeah. So Olga, can you ask your question, please?
Yes, thank you. Just a quick one. If a job started prior to May 6, does that count?
Yes.
In the post-graduation? Yeah, thank you. And if I probably will be applying, I probably will be qualified for both as a post-graduation and a session worker. Can I apply for both at the same time?
You can. There's nothing stopping you besides your ability to actually submit both at the same time, because you're not going to be able to do it at the same time. So you have to do one first. So I strongly recommend you to do the stronger one first.
All right.
And yeah, okay.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
Awesome. Next would be Yolanda. Please ask your question.
Hi, if my partner is from the US, if we qualified, would I need the English test?
Yes.
If we apply as a common law, would I still need the English test?
You mean as a spouse?
Yeah, as a spouse, like if he's
No,
the main,
the English requirements for main applicants.
Main applicant only, okay.
Yeah.
And would it, if we have applied already through another stream and we also apply through this one, would we get our money back from the other stream?
It depends where in the process you are. It's a tough one to answer. There is a chance that yes, but most likely no.
We've been waiting for 5 months now and we haven't heard anything. This is one of the applications that you submit, like paper-based.
Yeah, I know, but it's a tough one to answer. My answer is still potentially yes, most likely no.
No. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Next would be Ishmeen. Please ask your question.
I can't hear.
We'll move on then.
Yeah, Krunal.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello.
So, sir, my question is, do you think this new public policy streams is faster than CEC?
I would budget like 6 to 9 months of processing time, but this is a guess. Because it's going to be electronic, so it's probably faster than paper, but not sure if it's going to be faster than express entry.
Logically, it's require very few documents, so we can predict that, right?
I guess.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next is going to be Dhruv Patel.
Yeah, hello. How are you?
Hello.
Yeah, Rafael, I wanted to ask you, I'm finishing my first course in December, so I might not be eligible, but one question that I wanted to ask you was, due to COVID, I'm studying at least 50% of my course online. Would I still get like CRS points for this course?
I guess you're talking a different subject right now. So CRS, it's for express entry. I would
Yes,
like
yes.
to keep our conversation here around the public policy if possible.
Okay, sure, thanks.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So the next would be Adnan.
Hi, Rafael. I have a quick question. Like, do we need to submit any document on May 6th?
Yes.
So
Complete
like,
applications.
okay, so complete application.
Yes, that
So
includes
it's not
documents as
just
well.
a profile.
No, it's not a notice of interest. No, you have to submit the application. It has to be a complete application.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, liking that we're going fast with this. The next one would be Tanveer Singahuja.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hi Rafael. Just wanted to ask about the eligibility for the international students. Actually, I called up the IRCC to know my eligibility, and I told them I have completed my course this month itself, and I did a 1-year postgraduate certificate, and they told me that you were eligible to apply. But according to the information provided today in the webinar, I think we are not eligible, those who took a 1-year postgraduate certificate course, right?
Yeah, they might know something that I don't know yet, but so far, the information that was publicly advertised is that if you haven't done a degree, you haven't studied 16 months, you're not eligible. But again, I have a feeling that they might change this because they literally left out a lot of people who have done graduate certificates of 1 year and who should be eligible because this is also education in Canada. And so I have a feeling that they might change the rule, the requirements.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're
Awesome.
welcome.
As everybody knows that you guys can definitely do book an appointment with Rafael. So I encourage everybody who has these specific questions to do so. The next question would be by Rana Inare.
Awesome. Hi. I was wondering if so I am working two part-time jobs right now. Would that be eligible for the 1,500 hours, like combined, or is it like
Yes, you can
individually?
combine hours.
Oh, awesome. And when does it start? Like last year or like how do you
What do you
calculate the
mean?
1,500?
You have to calculate 1,500. In the last 3 years, you have to have 52 weeks of equivalent of full-time work experience.
Awesome. So like for the past 3 years,
Yes.
and in total 1,500.
Yes, 1,560 total, spread out at minimum 52 weeks.
Oh, awesome. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I have Sephor next.
Hi, Rafael. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I have a question regarding submitting my application. I'll be graduating around mid of July. I'll be finishing my master's. So,
This
and
year?
I'll be, yeah, this year, yeah. Yeah, and I'll give my IELTS, like, if I plan to give my IELTS at the first week of August, can I submit my application around like mid of August? Will that be a good idea? What's your thought on this?
If there are still slots in the quota, why not? The programs it's open until November. The question is if there are still room in the quota.
Okay, I have another question. Like, does research assistant or teaching assistant count as working hours?
Like for the graduate?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. I do have Ishmeen. I think I'm going to try again. Ishmeen, do you want to speak up? It's your chance
Yeah,
now.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, I'm graduated in November 2020, and I fall under the international graduate stream. And I just want to ask, when I was working as a student, I was a cashier. Should I include that work also in my application? Because now I am on post-graduation work permit and working full-time office admin. So should I include cashier work in my application, or should I just include this work currently that I'm doing it full-time?
Right. So there are two different things here. One is requirement,
Yeah.
and the other one
Yes.
is disclosing information. So in your case, you have to disclose that information, but that's
Yes.
not the requirement for the program.
Yeah, so that's why I got confused, like what should I do? Because there's a time I will be speeding up, but still I have to mention everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So no answer for that.
I just answered. That's not a requirement, but you have to disclose.
Right. Okay, then I'll write it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Next, we'll go to Matthias Gasol.
Hi, I know that you mentioned that there's no rules that say that you can't apply for multiple things at the same time. Does that also apply for a study permit extension, as I'll be starting my master's for the postgraduate study?
Yes. They're different applications. They're not conflicting, so you can submit both.
Sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, over to you, Pat. I think I have all my questions answered here.
I think I also have all my answers as well. Do we have any more questions? Feel free to speak up.
May I ask a question, Rafael?
Sure.
Well, first of all, thanks for doing this. My question is, in your experience, because this program is really new and the CIC hasn't really been upfront about a lot of information. Obviously, they're kinking out the details. Has this happened in the past with any other program, and when do you predict would they be upfront about all this information? That's all. Thank you.
I'm not predicting, but I'm seriously hoping that they're going to provide more information before May 6th. Like at least a checklist and where to submit the application would be great.
They won't be giving people much time there, would they?
No. So what we can do for now is prepare for you to be as ready as possible. And if there is any new items in the checklist, I doubt, but there could be like one specific form or something. That would be the only thing remaining for you to do. So that's the maximum we can help people preparing for it.
Thank you. Before we kind of go into the other questions, Kevin, how are we doing on time? Rafael, how are you guys doing on time?
Still okay. Yeah.
10 more minutes before Rafael to go.
Awesome. So I think, sorry, Shivangi, give me 1 second. I think I have Bernardo already who's raised his hand. Bernardo, you can probably go and ask your question.
Okay, thank you, Rafael, first for this. My question regards the French-speaking stream. So it's twofold. One, I just wanted to confirm if there's no quota to that stream. So regardless of how many people apply, that would be okay. And second, in that situation, do I need to prove both? With the French exam and the English exam, or only the French exam would be enough?
I'm gonna be honest, you got me unguarded. I prepared for the graduate and the essential workers for this webinar, but I'm happy to discuss that with you. If you send me a message, we can verify that for you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Okay, Shivangi, you want to ask your question now?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the chance, Justin. And Rafael, thank you for making this meeting. It's really successful. So many questions have been answered already. I had specifically 3 questions for myself. So would we be needing a WES like cleared before we apply for the application?
That's not a requirement for any of the 2 applications.
Oh, okay, awesome. And would we have to create a login before we apply? Is there a page that we can already create a login for now?
I would love to know how to answer that question. Most likely, yes.
Okay, awesome. And also one specific question. I did have like a contract position, but I did complete the 1560 hours requirement. So would I be eligible for either of the programs?
If that was a contract position, no.
Yes. Oh, okay. Okay, no worries. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Next would be Valentina.
Hi there. Thank you again for hosting the workshop. I had a quick question. So I know the IELTS registrations are pretty booked up till like July and August. So if I do submit application now and I pay the $1,000 or $1,050 fee, would I get it refunded if I not in time, if like the full quota is already filled, or do they just take in like the application fee and I don't get anything back? Thank you.
At this point, my answer to you would be it's a risk. You may take the risk to submit the application without it. I know I mentioned about booking, rely on immigration contacting them. It's not a sure thing yet. So today, my answer to you, it's probably a risky thing to do. But I hope that before May 6th, we will know for sure how it's gonna work, because they are aware of the difficulties to book tests at this point.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Next is going to be Malatesh.
Yeah. Hi. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for this wonderful session. I just had a quick question, and I'm sorry if I'm asking this again. I'll be graduating in the month of May, so probably I'll be applying for PGWP in the May 20th. So am I still eligible for this program? And secondly, coming to the IELTS score, I have already given, like I did submit my IELTS score in 2019. For the study permit and everything. So do I have to write the test again, or is it expire or something? Thanks.
If it's 2 years, it's still under the 2 years, it's valid. You could still use it. But remember that you have to do the general. And if you submit it for education, you most likely use the academic. So take a look at that, right?
Yeah, sorry.
So about your other question, in terms of requirements for eligibility, it sounds like you could be eligible. The question is if there will be quota remaining for you to apply after, because there are expectations that the quota will be met in 1 or 2 days, I'm afraid.
Okay, and if suppose the quota, rejects some of the applications, so will that have create a vacancy once again, or is it once it is filled, it's done?
I don't know how to answer that question. That's a good one.
Yeah,
yeah, that's a good one. I really don't know yet. Sorry.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. I do see somebody who's a community moderator here who had a question. I'm not sure who that is, but please ask.
Yes, sorry, it's my Zoom name. Forgot to change it. I have a question. You mentioned that if you are eligible for the postgraduate work permit, you're probably eligible for this PR stream. The PGWP, it requires that you be a full-time student, like you have all your semesters, you attended them full-time. So if you do not satisfy this requirement, would you still be eligible for this?
So the requirement for you to have the postgrad work permit, it's not just for the work permit. The requirement to be a full-time student is to maintain your international student status in Canada. So if you haven't done it, most likely you're not eligible.
Okay. So yeah, if you have done like some semesters part-time, you wouldn't be eligible.
You're probably at risk.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we have time for 2 more minutes before Rafael has to hop off.
Yeah,
Cool.
maybe 2 more questions.
Sure, and I think.
Sorry, I
Sorry.
had one more last question.
Let me just. I'll probably ask Simba his question, and then we can probably get back to you,
Sure.
Shivangi. Simba,
Yeah,
please
sure,
ask your
thanks.
question.
Cool. It's a quickie. So I know you had talked about the documentation. You said travel history, address history. In terms of employment, because I just graduated, would that be a letter from my employer confirming that I'm working there, or I can give them a letter of offer that I received?
So remember that employment as a requirement, it also needs to prove that you receive payment for it. So a T4, remember we mentioned about the T4 would be one of the options, maybe a pay stub as well. But why not a letter? Yeah, try a letter as well.
Okay, so T4s from work. Because I just joined I just started a new position beginning of March. So I didn't receive a T4 from my workplace because it's not beginning of my, because I worked previously at Shopify.
Naturally.
I have a T4 from them, but I don't have T4 from my new position. So I'm assuming I might as well do a letter.
Yeah.
And should I also submit the previous history of me working somewhere else as well?
You will have to disclose that information in your history of activities for sure.
Okay. And by any chance, is there any other documentation that I may have missed that would be required from what I just confirmed?
No, we haven't literally discussed like a checklist of documents so far, but as I said, we're based on any regular permanent residency application. So you can expect that you're going to have to submit the same documents, not the requirements, but for the program, but the documents for immigration itself.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'll contact you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. I know that we just have 2 more minutes, Rafael. Is it okay if we take 2 quick questions, or do we want?
Let's go for it.
Awesome. So Shivangi, please ask your question.
Thank you. Rafael, I just wanted to let you circle back on the same thing that you said we would have to create a login. Would you be able to share the website that we would have to do that?
I would love to know. We don't know yet.
Okay, I will not waste your time anymore. You can go ahead.
No
and answer
worries.
the question.
I really wish I knew.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Femida, please ask your question.
Hello.
Hi.
My question is that I have been a full-time student as an early childhood educator at a college that is not eligible for postgraduate work permit. What do I do now?
So in terms of a requirement, most likely your institution doesn't meet the requirement. So you wouldn't be able to qualify for the graduate work public policy. But maybe we can take a look at to see if your work fits into the essential worker, maybe, and that would be a possibility for you. But I would have to check your profile to know.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. We're off time. I know Sefor and Ishmin, you have questions, but please, you can send it to us and we can send it to Rafael, or you have Rafael's information. So please book an appointment with him. And Pat, I think I'm going to just hand it over to you now.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, it looks like you're just muted there, Pat.
Hello? It's me. Hi. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. I want to say thank you so much for all the useful information, and it's been such a pleasure working with you and the ImmiSearch team. Kevin, do you have a few last words?
I just wanted to say a massive thank you to Rafael for coming in here and sharing all this information. Like he said, he will need to understand your profile a little bit more to be able to give more in-depth advice. So if you are looking to apply for this program and you'd like to work with an immigration consultant, please use the link that was provided in the chat to book a meeting with him. He's going to be giving a 30-minute screening call with his company. So talk to them and see if you are eligible, and good luck with this new program, everybody.
Yeah, good luck, everybody. And lastly, last word for us, we also do have a Slack group of international students who are going through the same journey. So if you are interested in being a part of it, entirely free for you to join. Kevin's already on there. Feel free to hop on this link and we'll see you on Slack. Okay. That's a wrap.
Bye.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
You can
Bye-bye.
take
Have a
yourself
good
off
day.
mute and clap if you want.
Go clap. There you go. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope this was helpful. Stay tuned. And the recording will be shared after as well, so you can share that with your friends who will benefit from it, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Raphael. Thanks, Pat.